Chapter 9. The Great Escape. Harry and Jensen had to dodge quickly to avoid being trampled by a small herd of cows that galloped past them at a fair rate of knots, their mounts kicking their heels in an attempt to beat the other. A small boy ran closely behind, tapping the slowest cow's backside with a stick. The red-faced farmer that was chasing them struggled to keep up, which wasn't surprising, as despite the heat, he wore a thick green corduroy jacket and hat. The farmer shouted angrily between each breath, "Come back with those cows, you young buggers, or I'll have your guts for garters." But the farmer was too slow, and the children and the cows soon escaped. Then Jensen unexpectedly grabbed Harry. "Get down, look, the coppers, they're at your house." A small white mini-type police car shone out like a beacon outside Harry's house and had attracted the usual band of onlookers. His stomach churned and he held his head in his hands. He knew he was in big trouble now. He popped his head up from behind a hedge. "Crap, it'll be those bloody bikes. I'm in for it now for sure." "Christ, you don't think they've found him, do you, Harry?" "Nah, no way, Jen. They'll never find him. They're under 20 feet of water. They're gone forever. They'll just be putting their frighteners on me mother." "Jesus, Harry, I'd rather get done by the coppers than your mum." "Yeah, and don't they just know that too?" grimaced Harry. The policeman emerged from the house and walked purposely slow up the garden path and back to his car. He looked across in the boys' direction. They quickly ducked but were seen. PC John Sargent grinned wryly through his greying beard as he opened the British Leyland minicar door, threw his helmet onto the back seat and picked up a Coca-Cola, still intentionally slow, just to prolong the agony for the boys. He opened the drink and gulped it down. It tasted warm, but it satisfied his thirst. He mopped his brow and looked over at the boys and grinned again. For the moment, his job was done. It was now Harry's mother's problem. So he climbed back into the car, started it up, and drove away, again, agonizingly slow. Jensen stood up and decided to make himself instantly scarce. Anyway, got to go now, Harry. I'll see you tonight then, eh? If you're still alive, that is." He didn't enjoy leaving Harry like this, but there really was nothing else to say except, "Good luck, mate." "Thanks, Jen. I think I'm going to need it this time." Harry didn't waste another second. He knew what was coming and decided to get it over with. And like a lamb to the slaughter, he wandered into the house. He didn't have very long to wait. "Harold Spider, get in here! No!" Jensen cringed and ran away down the road as fast as his legs could carry him, with the sound of Harry's mother's voice echoing all around the estate. Later that same day, in a quieter part of Braithwaite village, the sun was now lower in the evening sky, and the land was bathed in a mixture of gold and long shadows. At the base of an old oak tree there sat Dippy. Being used to his own company, he was managing to pass the time well. Although he wasn't totally alone, as his invisible friend Jim was there. But he was being very quiet lately, and although Jim hadn't given a reason, Dippy thought he knew why. He was jealous of his new friends, so Dippy tried to reassure him.
Look, Jim, I know what's up, but you needn't worry. It won't last. It never does."
But Jim said nothing and just continued to sulk.
Be a moody Judy then. I don't care,
said Dippy as he pulled an old watch from his pocket. The face was cracked and it hadn't told the time in years, but he wound it up anyway, as it was his good luck charm. From his other jeans pocket he produced his trusty book of spells.
One last try, then that's it. No more magic for me. Probably.
And he placed the ancient book in his mouth and climbed the majestic oak. Jim just shook his head as he watched Dippy climb the tree. He thought about trying to talk him out of it, but he knew he wouldn't listen, so he just let him get on with it. From the top branch, Dippy could see the whole village, from the church at the top of the hill to the river at the bottom that ran through Tinker Woods. He thumbed through the pages of the spellbook, found the chapter he wanted, and began reading out loud.
It has been suggested by mystics that time is neither linear nor movable, but exists in a stationary basis through which we as incarnate essences can move freely in order to gain knowledge, experience, and sod this. Where's a good bit? Spells. Ah, here it is. This will do.
He took a deep breath and started again.
With the power and the magic that lies hidden beneath the earth, and even in the very air we breathe, I call upon these spirits herein, as only known by ancient man, to relate to me the secret gift of flight. Say, I believe 3 times, kiss your garlic clove, and feel your body rise freely from the earth.
He stood up on the thick, flaky branch, faced the red setting sun, and shouted,
I believe, I believe, I believe. Oh, damn. Wait a minute. I've forgotten the sodding garlic clove. I don't suppose that'll matter, will it?
But it did matter, because, as everybody knows, that if you're going to cast spells, especially at the top of a tree, you're going to need the proper equipment. And Dippy was about to find that out the hard way. Suddenly, his feet slipped from under him as the dried branch he was stood on crumbled to dust and fell far below him. But luckily, he managed to grab a smaller branch with his spare hand, and he clung onto the tree, teetering to and fro, but on the verge of falling.
Phew,
sighed Dippy with massive relief as his feet swayed beneath him.
That was a bloody close one. Sod this, it's just too dangerous. I'm going back down.
And he did, as the thin branch he was gripping groaned and creaked as it strained to hold even his meagre weight. Then, with a sharp, dusty crack, it too snapped, and he wailed,
Oh shit!
And he fell through the lower branches, managing to hit each and every one on the way down to the ground. Jim leapt to catch him, but he was too late, and Dippy landed with a thud beside him. That silly bugger will never learn. He's going to kill himself one day for sure, said Jim to himself. Dippy staggered to his feet, a bit bruised, but more disappointed. He dusted himself down and gave Jim a dirty look as he did. He then wandered into that balmy summer evening to meet his definitely not imaginary almost friends. Meanwhile, the local sex symbol, Jennifer Bush glanced at her watch impatiently, completely unaware that she was being watched. To pass the time, she unwrapped a pink bubblegum, popped it into her mouth, chewed it vigorously, and blew a large bubble. She looked at her watch again and sighed. Simon and Jensen were crouched, just out of sight behind the church perimeter wall.
"Where the hell is Harry, dude?"
whispered Simon as he peered through a hole in the old and uneven stone wall. Jensen was playing with a money spider.
"Well, the last I saw of him, he was in a bit of trouble, so he might be a little late, I reckon."
He pushed Simon away from the spy hole.
"My turn now." "Wow, she looks hot tonight," he gushed. "Maybe she does, man, but I'm giving Harry 5 more minutes and I'm off."
5 more minutes, and it's bring on the substitute, Simon lad.
"Yeah, right, dude. I'd like to see you try."
"Just watch and learn, Simon. Watch and learn." Jensen was preparing to climb over the church wall when there was movement behind them. It was Dippy. He limped over. His shirt was torn and hanging from his back. "Oh my God, would you look at this? What the hell have you been up to?" asked Jensen. Dippy smiled. It was good to feel wanted. He looked down at himself and milked the moment a little longer.
"Oh, I just slipped, that's all."
"You slipped? What into? A shredding machine, you bloody fool. And where the hell is Harry?" Dippy shrugged his shoulders.
"I dunno."
"Right, well, piss off then, you bloody simpleton," snapped Jensen, completely forgetting that he had to be nice to Dippy because of the special sweets business. Simon grabbed Jensen's arm and frowned at him, but spoke to Dippy.
"You don't have to piss off, Dippy dude. Jensen was only joking, weren't you, Jensen?"
"Oh yeah, I was only joking, Dippy lad. Of course you can stay." Dippy smiled again. He was in the gang now, but Jim didn't like that. He just skulked in the shadows, seething with jealousy. Harry Spider's father was sat reading the newspaper. He fiddled with his beard as he studied the horse racing pages. Harry's mother knitted while his younger brother Dickie lay on the floor colouring. His sister Susan was in her room again. Being 16, this is where she spent most of her time. Her record player was now playing Chicago's If You Leave Me Now, probably because she had just fallen out with her latest boyfriend. But who knew, because although they lived in the same house, their paths rarely crossed. If she wasn't in her bedroom reading her Diane or Jackie magazines, then she was out with her friends, or some boyfriend or other. Harry's sister was definitely a stranger to him. A leg dangled down at the window, in full view of the entire sitting room occupants. Harry's father noticed and attempted to distract his wife. "I see the theft of those bikes made the paper, dear." Mrs. Spider frowned and knitted quicker.
"And we all know who's responsible for that, don't we, Bat?"
Who, Petal?"
Who? You know damn well who, Bat Spider. It was that heathen upstairs, that's who."
Mr. Spider scratched his beard and sighed. He'd had a bad day. He'd found out just this afternoon that he was to be put on a 3-day week at the foundry, and all he wanted to do now was relax and read the paper, and he just didn't need this. But it might not have been Harry who took those bikes, dear. I mean, we don't know that for sure, do we?
Don't know that. Don't know that. I think we do, Bat Spider.
We didn't just come down in the last shower, did we? Harry's other leg appeared at the window, and this time his little brother noticed.
Mum, Mum. Dicky, quiet while I'm speaking. But Mum. Dicky, I said be quiet. She addressed Bert again. You'll have to have a word with that Harold Spider before he gets completely out of control. I don't know, you bring the lad up right, and this is how he repays you. Don't you ever turn out like that, Dicky Spider, or I'll skin you alive. I probably won't, Mother, smiled Dicky with his cutest smile, knowing it would melt his mother's heart. Harry dropped from his bedroom window and stubbed his toe on a rock. He hopped around in pain, holding his foot. Then his eyes met with his father's. It only lasted a second, but it seemed like an eternity. But to his surprise, his father ushered him away. Enjoy yourself when you're young, lad, thought Harry's father. Another few years and you'll probably be in the same boat as me. My God, I wish I was nearly 14 again. If I knew then what I know now, I'd... But his thoughts were disturbed by Dicky. Mum, first there was one leg, then another leg, and then there was swinging, and then they dropped, and it was... Dicky, don't make up ridiculous stories. Go up to your bedroom and say 3 Hail Marys. But Mum, it was... Dicky, I said upstairs, no.
Dicky climbed to his feet and stomped to the door.
Nobody ever bloody believes me.
And he slammed it behind him, leaving his father and mother in a stunned silence. Harry wasted no time. He leapt the garden fence and excitedly made his way up to the old church. And as he did, he thought about what his father had just done. He shouldn't have been too surprised. He and his father were similar in many ways, but he was nothing like his mother. Maybe that would materialize in later life, like some kind of metamorphoses.
Jesus, I hope not, he thought. Hell, who wants to grow up anyway? Adults always seem so bloody miserable. I mean, what the hell have they got to worry about? Absolutely nothing. And I'm going on my first ever date, and it's with Jennifer Bush. Now that is something to worry about.